Hi, welcome to Bookie. Today we will unlock the book The Neurotic Personality of Our Time by Karen Horney. Those of you who are regular listeners of Bookie may have listened to our previous Bookie summarizing Horney's other work, Our Inner Conflicts, A Constructive Theory of Neurosis. Both of these books are representative works whose key points illustrate the theories of the social-cultural school of thought in the field of psychology. You might be wondering, what is social-cultural psychology, what is a neurotic personality, and how does it relate to you? Rest assured, this Bookie holds the answers to your questions. In your life, you may have encountered the following type of person. On the one hand, he seems warm, cheerful, and approachable, but on the other hand, he is very controlling and wants to be in charge of everything, even other people. He desires to be loved, but it is difficult for him to establish long-term intimate relationships with others due to his personality. This self-contradictory personality leads to precarious relationships with others. In this case, he may have a neurotic personality. Mental illnesses are often more difficult to detect than physical ones. Neurosis is not the most serious mental illness, but the damage it inflicts on an individual is enormous. Neurotic patients may be extremely sensitive and vulnerable in their interpersonal communications by both craving attention and fearing it. While appearing aloof and withdrawn on the surface, they actually desire intimacy with others. They may live inside themselves and be indifferent to the outside world. Still, they are often concerned about the reactions of others, and believe that everyone is watching them. Neurotic patients are always fighting with themselves, unable to accept who they really are and subjecting themselves to constant mental torment. This book can help us understand the causes of a neurotic personality and help us better understand ourselves. This book, written by psychology master Karen Horney, systematically discusses the cultural neurosis theory and strongly refutes Freud's claim of biological determinism. It is a thorough critique and revision of traditional psychoanalysis and also one of Horney's most representative works. It marks the beginning of the social-cultural school in the field of psychology. Upon its release, it elicited a dramatic response from readers and has been reprinted several times. Karen Horney, a German-American psychologist and psychiatrist, was a representative figure in neo-Freudian psychoanalysis. She advocated for replacing Freud's theory of biological determinism with cultural determinism and argued that the social environment was an important cause of inner conflict in neurotic patients. For this reason, the entire New York psychoanalytic community announced their disassociation from her, and she was forced to leave the New York Psychoanalytic Institute. But through her own efforts, she opened up a new school and created a new field in psychoanalysis. Her representative works include New Ways of Psychoanalysis, Our Inner Conflicts, A Constructive Theory of Neurosis, Self-Analysis, and the Neurotic Personality of Our Time. Next, we will tell you about the key points of this book in 3 parts. Part 1, What is a neurotic personality? Part 2, The neurotic needs of patients. Part 3, The neurotic tendencies of patients. Neurosis, also known as psychoneurosis, is a mental disorder that includes common anxiety, obsession, and nervous breakdowns. For Horney, neurosis is a deviation from normal patterns of behavior. However, the method of defining normal needs to take cultural factors into consideration. For example, imagine that in our cultural environment, there is a man who is very afraid of menstruating women. We would assume that this person is sick and has some kind of neurotic personality. However, in some remote tribes, there is a cultural tradition of fearing menstruation. If someone from this culture demonstrates this kind of behavior, we can't say that he is neurotic. Therefore, the judgment of whether a person is a neurotic patient needs to be understood in the context of the current cultural environment, which cannot be generalized. Horney also pointed out that this criterion alone is not enough to determine whether a person suffers from neurosis. When a person's behavior differs from the general public, it may be because he or she thinks more deeply than ordinary people, and thus has a different pursuit in life. On the contrary, some people who behave normally may be